Dashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param. I forgot to mention Sylvia. She just arrived in Italy. She's in Europe, and Lynn is traveling to visit her sister. And it's just the three of us, but doesn't matter. So we stay with Tripura. So the previous verse, the last verse we did last time, was talking about the apparent nature of this universe and the fact that what happens, what is experienced by us, human jivas, is not really happening out there, but it's happening within our minds, blessed by the screen of Maya or consciousness. The pictures occur in the mind. They are recognized and validated by us. And each living creature are going to have an experience according to its sense instruments set. We saw that some creatures experience the world different. We saw even a place in which people see things upside down. So all of that to bring us to the understanding that everything is happening within our mind, coming through the channels of the sense organs and the sense instruments, which is uniquely designed by the human creatures as the chicken creatures and the lion and creatures. Every creature has a different set of sense organs and sense instruments to perceive one's world. So we can never take on absolute terms that what we perceive is exactly what we perceive, reality is exactly what we perceive, because as we know, different creatures are going to perceive this apparent projection or superimposition of the five elements differently. So, and then we see that the sense instruments and the sense organs play a very, very fundamental role in giving us a sense of reality to this physical, to the five elements, let's put it in that way. The five elements, are they solid and structured in a way that is material and so on? Well, yes and no, because when we examine it more closely with certain instruments, we see that it's again another kind of trick or illusion, because what we are looking at is space with some particles or waves, that collapse to become particles, and then there are some nucleus and electrons and all these things that fundamentally represent a very small proportion within space. The most fundamental element is space. And then it appears to our sense organs as a solid physical and tangible universe. And then we saw the idea of time and space was challenged as well. Time is a byproduct of space. Space accommodates all these perceptions, these apparent perceptions, and then gives the human mind, and only the human mind, a sense of time. I don't think that other creatures, such as birds, have a sense of time. They just respond to the stimuli that comes from the field of experience in a ultimate casual causal mode. They are programs. They don't have sense of right and wrong. They just intuitively, not intuitively, instinctively, they respond to the environment for the sake of survival and preservation of the species, as we know. So So everything is an illusion after all. We have seen it. So what is real then? What is fundamentally real? And then we can go even into the scientific communities, investigate into physics and quantum physics, and then they start noticing that there is an interaction between the observer and the phenomenon, in that kind of the structure of the atom, that according to the desire or expectation, so that structure is going to respond sometimes as a wave, sometimes as a particle, and then we could see that the science has its hints in relation to the fact that the observer is impacting the observed, and it feeds, it is a cyclical, self-reinforced, phenomenon that we know, because it comes like that. Everything in the universe is here to support our desires, fears, expectations, and so on. And then we put that into the field, and the field responds to us so that we can have certain experience and learn certain lessons. So we have been seeing this appearance in nature, and it's very challenging. And last class we saw the most difficult thing is not to clearly hold the knowledge that I am consciousness. Fundamentally, I am consciousness, and I'm free and independent from the experience of my inferior nature as the agent. So more challenge than that is to come to a hard and fast understanding that the world out there is not real, and everything is happening within my mind, and because it goes against our experience of solidity. We experience things in a way. It's difficult for us to take something like this as basically space, but somehow we get the impression that that is very solid, and we cannot even penetrate that. So it's very challenging, those teachings, and those teachings, they refer to the more philosophical aspect of Vedanta, which is philosophy, but it's not really philosophy, because it deals with the true nature of reality, the true nature of the universe, which fundamentally is not matter. The true nature is consciousness, and I am that consciousness. I am supplying to the intellect my conscious existence so that the intellect can have a tangible dualistic experience in this realm, So it's mind-blowing, all these concepts for the mind. And then he talks about consciousness as the illuminant. And the illuminant and that which is illumined cannot be the same. And how can the illumination by which he sees be apart from him? So the illuminant cannot be objectified, and this is a fundamental teaching. Who would be the seer to see the illuminant? I often say the illuminator, but here appears illuminant. So how can you see the illuminant? So no, there is no other light to illumine the illuminant. Illuminant is self-luminous. It's like asking the sun, which is self-luminous, to say, we want to observe you better. Let me bring some other suns close to you so that we can illumine you better. No, it's self-illuminant and self-luminous. So there is nothing. Who is the seer apart from this light of consciousness? How can the illumination by which the Jiva-Atma sees be apart from him? That the illuminant affords the light and serves as an object stand apart from the seer is experienceable, but it's not logical or possible to be maintained as reality. The idea that the illuminant affords the light and serves as an object standing apart from itself is something that once we scrutinize this logic, and then we cannot maintain that the world exists really, stands apart from consciousness. So the Upanishads are going to challenge this. It's possible to be maintained once you examine it very carefully in the light of the teachings. Okay, so this light of consciousness is not apart from what is illumined, because it is illumined within itself, because it's reflect within itself. Therefore, the illuminant cannot admit any foreign principle, and this illuminant is the illumination in perfection. It is non-dual. There's nothing else to illumine something that is self-illuminant, self-luminous, and in the source of light itself. So this illumination, this illuminant, this light of consciousness appears as time and space. So it extends. It's not that it does something, Time and space occurs within consciousness and occurs in the mind of the Jiva Atma. So the Jiva Atma, this Jagat, is there for the Jiva Atma to have an experience. Other Jivas having experience as well. But consciously speaking, I doubt if my chickens have an experience of time and space, because it requires a certain intellectual capability, right? So it appears as time and space in the mind of the Jiva Atma, which is consciousness to begin with. This consciousness is infinite and perfect. It is the illuminant, and it's the illumination, and it is the illumined. So it embraces everything. Consciousness embraces this trinity, okay, of the illuminant, the illumined, and the illumination. So the experiencer, the experienced, and the experience, the knower, the known, and the knowledge. So all of that is happening within knowledge, within consciousness, within the light of consciousness. As regards within and without, everything is included in this illumination. So I know there is something is outside and something is inside. How can you say that? How can you say that there is something out there unless it is happening within my conscious existence? So I am the witness, knowledge, consciousness that say something is happening out there. But the moment that I say it's happening out there, that bird is happening out there, I must recognize that it's happening within my consciousness. You cannot, nothing escape consciousness. So there is nothing really out there. That's the point. Everything is included in this light, which illumines and reveals everything. And it's not apart, it's not separate, it's not out there, and it's not real. It's just an appearance. How then can anything be said to be outer? So the whole universe is thus in the illumination, which is self-sufficient at all times, beyond time. The universe is and always will be all through a phenomenon in the self. The question then arises, how consciousness being void appears as dense at the same time? This is really a trick question. So if everything is consciousness, consciousness is the most subtle of the subtle. Everything is happening within this consciousness. It's appearing, but it's just appearing within consciousness, within the human mind. The question then arises, how consciousness can be so subtle, at the same time so dense as the universe as perceived by the human jiva. So the only hint we have by following the logic present so far is that it's not really dense. It's not really tangible. this is an appearance. It's a play between the way this universe is somehow set up, or the configuration, of these elements that appear as solid material elements to constitute some namarupas, and then combined with my sense organs, it gives me a sense of reality, and a dense reality, a dense, tangible, irrefutable, dense reality. So it is a trick. It is a trick between Maya and the human mind. Maya construct the body-mind of the Jiva-Atma in a way that we perceive these superimpositions in consciousness, which fundamentally it's not dense, but appears to be dense to us through our five senses. Just as a mirror, though dense and impenetrable, contains the image, so also pure, limitless consciousness is the most pervasive. I had a little challenge with this because dense and impenetrable. So it may be impenetrable from the standpoint of the human mind, because it's not really comprehensible, objectively comprehensible for the human intellect. So how can pure consciousness, being so subtle, okay, and incomprehensible, display a universe by virtue of its own self-contained existence, and this universe appears to be dense. So consciousness, which is not dense, appears to be dense, and displaying universe like that. So how can that occur? So in the mirror, we know that the image reflecting in the mirror is not real, but in our case, the image reflecting our minds appear to be real. So we have the analogy and the parallel with the dream state, because the image that appear in the dream world, the dream state, the dream world, they appear to be very real during the dream, but later on, when we change our mental state, in retrospective, we see, no, that was not real. So the images in the mirror are not real, okay? Although it's a pure, good reflection if the mirror is good quality mirror. So the same way, this universe reflects in this mirror of Maya, macrocosm, reflecting medium, and then it appears to be real. And then we see this reflection. There are these small reflectors called the subtle bodies of the Jiva-Atma that are going to reflect as well this universe, our environment, and then everything takes shape as real, but it's more or less like a reflections in the mirror, or the reflections in the mind of the Jiva-Atma in the dream state, which later on can be acknowledged as not real. So likewise, when I make an effort here, trying to understand this dream here, this projection of Maya Ishvara, in which in the awakened states we experience duality, and we see this state, we say, oh, now this is real. This is real. Why? Because it's dense, it's tangible. And then we say, no, the only thing that's real here is consciousness. And consciousness is not dense, okay? And it's not tangible, but it's the only reality. Now, what is real? So what is being reflected in the mirror, or the mirror? When we look into the object, reflect before front of the mirror, say, what is real here? So the only real thing is the mirror. All the reflections, they are just appearance. The same way is the universe. And we have a hard time to make, to make peace with this notion, because it's so contrary to our perception, our experience. Counterintuitive. I am self-sufficient, and all this universe reflects within me due to my power of Maya. Though consciousness is all pervading, dense, and single, it still holds the world of duality, plurality, and mobility and immobility within itself. And there is no ultimate purpose or cause for it. Let's not go there. Just as the mirror remains unaffected by the passage of different images, and yet continues to reflect as clearly as before, also consciousness is going to reflect all kinds of universe, depending on the frequency of energy. Here it's present the awakened dream state, because there are other locuses in which duality can be experienced as well. So just as the mirror remains unaffected, consciousness remains unaffected. But the mirror is there, reflecting something. The subtle body is there, reflecting the awakened state in the dream state. And the mirror, the Prakriti of Maya, is there, reflecting the universe, okay, which is relevant only the moment the Jivatsumas come into play, and they reflect us. We see the reflection of Maya, and then the universe serves a certain purpose. No? And all of this, he says here, just as the mirror remains unaffected by the passage of the image in front of it, and it continues to reflect as clearly as before, unconcerned with whatsoever it reflects, so also non-dual limitless consciousness illumines the awakening and the dream states of the Jivatma. And this can be verified by proper Nididhyasana. O king, examine again your daydreams and mental imagery. So now this is nice, because examine again your daydreams. So everything is like a dream. So again and again, this metaphor, analogy with the dream state. And the image that happens within your mind. Though they are perfect in detail, yet they are no less mental. So we talk. Let's look into this. It says they are tangible, and they look, very, very convincing in terms of its reality, in the awakened state. But he's calling the daydream. They are tangible. They have colors, shapes, and purpose, and qualities, and attributes. All these configurations of the world. Yet they are no different than mental image. They are no less mental. So what is about the mental world? What is about the mental? How can we separate the physical material world, universe, from the mental world experienced by the Jivatma? We know that we cannot separate them. Every human experience is a combination of the physical material universe, that which appears to be physical material, but it can only be experienced through what? Through the mind. So you see, the subtle body, that's why maybe in Vedanta we say, or Swami Paramarthananda pointed out a few times, that you need to have a subtle body hooked up with a physical body so that you can have experience of the physical material universe. If you don't have a physical instrument of experience, what happens? So you don't have the instruments to capture this apparently physical material universe. You don't have the sense instrument. So you have the organ, but you don't have the instrument. There is a distinction there, as we know. So you need to be hooked up with a physical instrument of perception to experience this physical material universe. Okay, so but the moment that you lose the physical body, and then you have only the mental body, the subtle body. Now the subtle body is disincarnate. It's no longer hooked up with the physical body. So can it experience the physical material universe? No, cannot. It does not have the instrument to capture that level of density of perception, but it can capture what? The mental world. So the point here is the mental world, is it real? So here, the author is putting it is even less real from the standpoint of the awakened state. Because we know that in the dream state, the mind projects a world which is purely mental. And we have no problem to say, this mental reality is a dream, it's unreal. The problem is when we are daydreaming and we cannot help but to daydream, because our experience is a combination of the subtle and the physical, through the physical body. And then again and again, we are projecting images or reflecting images, mentally reflecting, okay? And these images are coming apparently from the physical material universe, because that is the field of interaction on which, from which this image comes into the mind. And then we call, no, this is different. This is not a mental experience. But here the authors say, observe your perception of reality during the day, because you are also dreaming. They are just mental imagery, and they are no less mental than the mental image that you experience in the dream state. And in the dream, you have no problem to say, no, but it's a dream, it's not real. But it's happening in the mind. This is a good inquiry. It's happening in the mind. They are not less mental. Guys, feel free to contribute in this process here. Consciousness permeating them, obviously, remains unblemished before creation or after the dissolution of the universe and during the existence of the universe, the world. It remains unaffected as the mirror by the image. Okay, the same concept. Your consciousness, as we know, does not change a bit, whether it reflects the universe or whether Maya is not there to provide the prakriti on which the universe appears. Though unperturbed, unblemished, thick, dense, and single, the absolute consciousness, being self-sufficient, manifests within itself what looks out there, exterior, just like a mirror reflecting space is external of itself. Same concept. This is the first step in creation. It's called ignorance or darkness. Ooh, now this is going to be interesting. Let's look into it. This is the first step in creation. It's called ignorance or darkness. Starting as an infinitesimal fraction of the whole, it manifests as sought external to its origin, and is a property of the ego sense. The alienation is on account of the latent tendency to be manifest later. Because of its non-identity with original consciousness, it is now simple, insentient energy. So this is going to give us some trouble, huh? Well, we need to break it down. Let's read the note here. The commentary What is absolute consciousness goes under the name of Maya just before creation, and it's later called avidya or ignorance, with the manifestation of the ego. The agitation in quietness is due to the subtle time fructifying the latent tendency of the ego, which had not merged in the primordial state at the time of the dissolution of the universe. Very nice. Very nice. So let's go slowly here. You talk about consciousness being unblemished and all-pervasive, and the only reality, and the self-sufficient manifests within itself what looks like the stereo universe, just like the mirror reflecting space and everything else contained in it and in itself, in the mirror. So, and then it says, this is the first step in creation, this reflection. So how this reflection occurs within the prakriti of Maya. It's called ignorance or darkness. We heard many times. So Maya is the beautiful and intelligent ignorance. James used to say that. And other aspects of our text also put that. It's called the fundamental ignorance, but it's highly intelligent. Okay? But it's ignorance because it produces duality or plurality on something that is non-dual, one and only thing or principle, consciousness, existence. So this first step in creation is called Maya or ignorance. Okay, it's something that is going to bring about duality where there isn't duality. Therefore, it's not reality. Not being reality, it's said to be ignorance or darkness, which is another symbol of ignorance. Okay? It's starting as an infinitesimal fraction of the entire universe. It manifests as sort external to its origin, and it is a property of the ego sense. Okay. So everything begins from the causal body, as we know. Once the macrocosm causal body begins emerging, we have this fundamental ignorance. It is the seed of the universe, which is the knowledge. I mean, we call it knowledge, the impressions of everything that happens in all universe, the past, present, and future. That everything is contained in this seed of the universe, which goes into sleep, and then it comes back at the time of creation. Its first step is this seed of ignorance, which is Maya, which is symbolized here as well as darkness. And this starts from an infinitesimal fraction of what is the only reality, which is full, whole, and complete consciousness. It begins as something so, unsubstantial. That's why it's called the causal, the seed, or the potential universe, which exists but does not exist in Maya. So starting as an infinitesimal fraction of the whole, it manifests as the external, as if something out there, external to consciousness itself, Maya itself. There's nothing external. Everything is happening in the macrocosmic mirror or reflecting medium called Maya. Shwara, Jiva, and Jagat comes in there. The elements comes in there. The three energies begin in there. So it manifests, though, as external to consciousness. And this is significant. It is a property of the ego sense. Okay? The manifestation of the universe, depends on the Jiva Atma. Here it says, and it is a property of the ego sense. It manifests as the external thing, it does not manifest as the mirror, it manifests as Namarupas, okay? And this is a property of the ego sense. What is the ego sense? Our vasanas, our likes and dislikes, what I want to experience and what I want to avoid, yeah? Desires and aversions, raga, dvesha. Yeah? So all of that is contained in the ego. In the ego, what ego? The macrocosmic ego, the eternal jiva, the macrocosmic jiva. Yeah? Everything is there. So this projection or reflection that comes from the seed, the infinitesimal seed of the universe, potential seed, manifests as the external universe as separated or apart from its true nature or source, which is consciousness. And this projection, this ignorance, is a property of the ego sense. So the ego of the Jiva-Atma is the one who is experiencing this separation between I and the world out there. The alienation is on account of the latent tendency to be manifest later. How you would understand this word alienation, Mark?
Here, I think it means the separateness.
Okay.
The difference, the apartness.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So the alienation, yeah, is on account of one's latent tendencies, which are going to be manifest later. So here, there is another pointer to the fact that our vasanas are going to determine the way the world is going to be manifest for us later on. So as we know, we have a vasana load, and then the vasana load is going to produce a new body-mind in a new time-space culture, and then the tendency of the seed of ignorance, which is the ego sense that is being manifested as another Jiva-Atma, and then the tendency are to be manifest later on. And everybody is going to experience the world slightly different on account to one's latent tendency. Because of its no identity with the original consciousness, it is now simple, insentient energy. So because of its no identity, because of this ignorance, because of this self-ignorance, okay, the ego is going to experience the world outside there, and it's going to reflect it according to one's tendencies, and then the experience is going to be manifest over and over again, according to our vasanas. And because of this self-ignorance, I have no identity in consciousness as consciousness. And now it's now simple, insentient energy. So I believe that we have, you guys correct me if you have a different understanding. If we don't take our identity in consciousness as consciousness, original, free and limitless consciousness, now, and then what are we going to be? We're going to be insentient matter energy. We're going to take identity in our substantial nature as the body-mind, which is energy and matter. In sentient energies, we know that everything that is manifest is insentient. There is only one source of sentience, and this is original, limitless, pure consciousness. Because of my self-ignorance, I don't identify with what I am. I identify with my apparent nature as what? As energy. In sentient matter, every one of us, due to this avidya, we take ourselves to be insentient energy / matter, okay? So we identify with these more dense energies or the more subtle energies, but we are identified with that which is not a true source of sentience. And sentience is there due to my original nature as original consciousness. So if I'm not properly identified in consciousness as consciousness, I become simply what? Matter and energy. So those are the two choices fundamentally. I'll either identify myself as consciousness, the spirit, or I identify myself with matter and energy. So any contributions coming from you guys?
I'm wondering if this last sentence, because of its non-identity with original consciousness, is now simple in sentient energy. I'm wondering if that's not talking about the consciousness, it's talking about, well, if we go back to the start of the paragraph, it's talking about the first step in creation called ignorance or darkness. And I'm wondering if that sentence is referring to that rather than
maybe it's referring to
itself.
the causal body, huh? The first step, ignorance or darkness.
Yeah.
Because of its no identity with the original consciousness, it's now simple insentient energy. Yeah, it could be. Let's say that, let's see if the note further clarifies this point, Mark.
Yeah.
What is absolute consciousness goes under the name of Maya just before creation. So we have consciousness and then we have Maya. Yeah, this mysterious power. And then it is already part of Mitya, as I often say. Yeah? And consciousness apparently appears as Maya. And Maya is going to reflect something that we could call the universal creation. And then this creation is later referred to as avidya or ignorance. Okay. Only at the point of the manifestation of the Jiva Atma or the human ego. Okay. So this is a point not yet clarifying what Mark has said before, but this is another important point. So we have consciousness, and then we have something such as named Maya. Maya brings about the Prakriti, yeah, these extremely subtle energies that somehow they are going to produce the three fundamental energies, the building blocks of the universe, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So, and then out of Sattva Guna, yeah, an entity comes which is the creator. So Maya provides the reflecting medium, and we see the reflecting medium, we have Sattva Guna, and the Sattva Guna being pure knowledge, pure intelligence, is the one who's going to create. And at that point, Sattva Guna does not require yet universe. Why? Because it contains the universe as a potential. No. But this was before creation. We have Maya. And then Maya brings about Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And then it starts breaking the universe, break this seed into innumerous parts until we have a manifestation of the human jiva and the human ego, which is consciousness reflecting the subtle body of these creatures. Yeah? And then it's only, and only then it's called avidya. Why I'm bringing this? Because of our ignorance. Because as we can see, the only principle within creator, creation, and creature that is subject to ignorance is the creature, the Jivatma. Ishvara is not subject to ignorance because he is pure knowledge. The universe is not subject to ignorance because it's inert matter, energy, insentient energy. So only the Jiva Atma is subject to ignorance. And then this consciousness, which, brings about or appears, or due to the power of mind, brings about a reflecting medium. And then we have Shvara Jiva Jagat. And then from the standpoint of Jaga, of Jiva, we have the manifestation of ego, which is called avidya or ignorance. So Maya is not ignorance, it's just a power, okay? And then it brings about these three energies, and then Ishvara takes over, being all-knowing. It takes the three energies and start breaking them to produce the 5 subtle elements, and so on and so forth. And then we have the universe that appears to be real, but to whom? The experience entity called the Jivatma. So Jivatma is Atma, but it's identified with the body-mind, experience the world outside there, and then we call consciousness, once it goes, or it's under the spell of Maya, we call it under the spell of ignorance, avidya. And then we have consciousness, which is beyond knowledge and ignorance, have an experience of ignorance, such as the ego. With the manifestation of the ego, we have the so-called avidya or ignorance. The agitation in the quietness of limitless, non-dual consciousness is due to the subtle time fructifying the latent tendency of the ego, which had not merged in the primordial state at the time of the dissolution of the universe. So the agitation in the quietness of consciousness, we have consciousness. Consciousness does not move, but the mind moves. And the universe appears to the mind of the Jivatma. And the mind is going to experience agitation due to the fructification of the vasana, the tendency of the ego, our likes and dislikes. So we're going to experience mental agitation in that which is free from any movement and much less agitation. Therefore, it is referred as total quietness, in which there are no ripples, like a lake without any ripples. So the mind is often present as the ripples in the ocean or in the lake, due to one's latent tendency of likes and dislikes, desires and fears. This latent tendency is the individual soul, is the one's vasana load, and it is present because it had not merged with consciousness at the time of the dissolution of the universe. We are talking about the beginning of creation, as he says, like the first step in the creation. The first step in creation, we have this ego, the minds, and the tendencies that is going to manifest, as desires and fears, which already exist in seed potential form. And they are going to bring back again the individual soul manifests as the body-mind, because it has not merged in the understanding of one's limitless nature as consciousness before the dissolution of the universe. The universe comes back from what? From the vasana load of the previous universe. So nothing is lost. That's what the scriptures say. Everything comes back from where it stopped. The music stops, everything stops, the music begins again, everything begins where we have stopped. Why? Because we did not merge. The wave did not merge into the ocean in its understanding. And then the wave is going to reappear again. So what I get from here, at the beginning of creation comes from this fundamental ignorance. It produces duality, on that which is one without a second. We see in the duality, we have the Jiva-Atma, and he is a co-creator in this process because he provides the latent tendency on a macrocosmic level to be manifest as the physical universe once the universe unfolds. And this is due to its ignorance in regards to its original nature as consciousness. Because of its no identity with original consciousness, because of its no identity, it refers to the ego, Mark.
Yeah, you're right, Arlindo. Yeah, I think so.
Because of its no identity with consciousness. And then we have somehow avidya. Yeah? And everything comes back. Why? Because our vasanas must exhaust themselves. These tendencies, they are somehow retained in the macrocosm causal body of the universe, Maya. And then it's going to fructify again as another incarnated living creature, you know, to exhaust one's tendencies, the tendencies of the ego, the likes and dislikes. So why these likes and dislikes, the ego, which suffers so much agitation, can never stop fructifying its ignorance, because it has not yet understood its nature, which is the mirror reflecting all these images. Just imagine that, I mean, the picture, the image of a mirror that reflects images, and then the mirror start getting attracted to certain images and repulsed to other images, and then the ego, the mirror start getting all agitated to the point that he cannot reflect things clearly anymore, because it got involved with those objects being reflected. So those are the tendencies of the ego that are going to create agitation in the mind and consciousness, and further makes it more difficult to understand its original nature. So the whole purpose, it seems to be to merge in our understanding the individual soul with our likes and dislikes. We need to dissolve. Now, this is a theme that I like to sometimes to contemplate. Is what holds an individual soul individual. So what holds us together as a soul, a subtle body, which is going to come back with association of another instrument, physical instrument of experience. What holds it together is energy. And what kind of energy holds us together is the energy of desires for continuity, for more. Desire is the most fundamental repulse force that holds and keeps everybody coming back and keeps this universe there for all of us experience duality until we can learn something. Well, so we have these latent tendencies that are going to hold somebody hooked to the experience of duality because it wants more. It wants more. I want to complete. I want to get it done. I want to resolve some things. You know, I have attachments. Oh, I regret this and that. Oh, I did hurt this and that person. So no, I want to be back. I need to be back. I'm compelled to be back. So we are compelled to be back because we take ourselves to be this reflection, the body-mind. And we don't take ourselves to be the mirror. And the funny thing is that we are not only the reflection, but we are the mirror as well. You understand? If we take ourselves to be the body mind in our energy, matter, nature, we are reflection in consciousness. But if we take ourselves to be consciousness, we are the mirror. That's why it's confused. Say everything is happening in me. But in you, yeah, and the body mind is happening in me as well. Huh? So everything is happening in me, consciousness, including the body mind. So how this body mind is going to lose steam to the point of not bringing about another birth? By understanding that everything is happening already in me, the same way the image reflected in the mirror, happening in the mirror, and the mirror does not need to get involved with that reflection, this reflection, because the mirror is the only reality. It's the only reality, and it's whole, it's purna. Consciousness, which is our true nature, is whole, is purna, complete, one without a second, the only reality. Unless we understand this, and this understanding is so clear, to gradually neutralize all these bits and pieces of a video operating in the human mind, we are going to come back, maybe on higher births, and then another higher birth, until this knowledge is so clear that we have no desires, latent tendencies based on desires and fears left to bring about another birth. You need to be free. I mean, this all breaks down to the power of a video or ignorance or desires. Desire is a video, it's ignorance. It's a statement that I am not complete, whole, and full, and I need things. I desire things. There is things missing. I'm not fully satisfied conscious existence. So this ignorance, it needs to be neutralized or removed. And I tend to believe that this is a process. And sometimes I tend to believe that self-recognition, self-knowledge is a beginning of a new stage on which you are going to purify what Ramana Maharishi sometimes you say residuals of avidya, residuals of ignorance, okay? Because you may have this knowledge, but here and there, on the subconscious level, there is still some desire for something to bring you back. Oh no, now I want to be a great guru. No? Now I want to be a saint. No? I'm so pure that now I want to come back to teach humanity. And then you get another birth. But if there are no desires for continuity, and then this individual soul is said to have merged or dissolved in Brahman as Brahman, in consciousness as consciousness, without any slightest desire for experience duality anymore, And this, we can always bring some parallels to our day-to-day situation or experience of life. So I might live in my life with a lot of desires for my likes to be met, because that brings about, more expectation, more desires, and in some cases frustrations, irritations, and so on. Or I'm just living a life through as consciousness, just with nothing consciousness, free and independent of everything that's reflecting before me. Therefore, I'm not hooked up to any parabdha karma. Whatsoever parabdha karma, I'm free because I'm the mirror of consciousness, and everything is happening in me as an apparent reality. So something on those lines. So anything from you guys? Okay. Then we stay here. We carry on next Monday, same time. Okay, did you understand this class, Philip? I know that your English allows you to get about 90%. You connect the dots. Huh?
Okay.
Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Arlindo. That was very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll meet again next Monday. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Okay.